It's Divas That Care Radio. Stories, strategies, and ideas to inspire positive change. Welcome to Divas That Care, a network of women committed to making our world a better place for everyone. This is a global movement for women, by women, engaged in a collaborative effort to create a better world for future generations. To find out more about the movement, visit divasthatcare.com after the show. Right now, though, stay tuned for another jolt of inspiration.
Welcome to Confidence in Bloom, the podcast for women who are done second-guessing themselves and ready to move forward with clarity, courage, and confidence. This season's theme is determined, not distracted. Because alignment requires focus and confidence grows when we stop chasing what looks good and starts choosing what feels true. This season is about how confidence is built, tested, and sustained, especially when distractions, expectations, and old identities try to pull you off course. I'm your host, Tina Spoletini, and here we talk about confidence, how to get there, how to trust yourself once you do, and how to sustain it through change, uncertainty, and reinvention. Today's guest is Kim Costa, creator of the Wheelhouse Method and host of the Live in Your Wheelhouse podcast. Through her work and her upcoming book, Kim helps women align their homes and lives with who they're becoming, not who they used to be. Kim's story is powerful. After building what looked like a dream home and realizing it left her isolated, she later made the bold decision to refuse Oprah filming at her house because it no longer reflected her authentic self. That moment became a turning point, eventually leading to a whole new way of living, working, and leading. Let's get started. Welcome, Kim. I'm so excited to have you here today.
Thank you, Tina. I'm so glad to be here.
Thank you. Yeah, I saw a post on Facebook this morning, and you were mentioning that you're at your, I don't know how the wording that you used, final edit or final copy of your book.
Yes.
So that is the right before going to the publisher. Am I right?
That's right. So you get like a copy, like it says not for sale on the front. And so then you go through just to make sure there aren't any typos and that this typesetting looks good and everything. So it's like the final edit before it goes off for print.
You must be so excited. I know you said emotional in your post.
Yeah.
At first I was like, why would you be emotional? But then I have to remember emotions come in all forms, right? They're positive and negative.
Right.
And sometimes we cry. I know I'm a crier lately. Like since I hit the perimenopause stage, I cry at almost everything. Right. And I think, oh my God, I never used to be like that. So I was kind of feeling it for you when it finally hit me like, oh my God, she's writing a book. That is so exciting.
It was so surreal. It was so surreal to sit and, I read through it a couple of times to make sure I caught all the errors, or if there were any. And I was like, because I read a lot and I'm always sitting in the same place reading a book. And I was like, I kind of closed the book and looked at the front and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm reading my own book. It's so
I was going to
crazy.
say, so when you do that, how does it feel? Are you able to sort of separate yourself from this is mine?
Yeah, I was actually enjoying my own book. I haven't read through it, 80 million times and thought about it for 7 years. But I just wanted to, I'm a good objective person. And that's why I think I'm good at objectively evaluating people's homes and their goals.
I was going to say, that's where it's going to, that's where it would show you that, right? You're going to come back and you can look at your own house as if it were someone else's.
Yes. So I kind of tried to do that as if I were just a midlife woman reader reading this book, or anyone for that matter. I have some young clients right now. So I actually kind of went through thinking about them. Is this also valuable for them? I tried to imagine different people reading the book as I was reading it and if it made sense. And I think it passed the test. So I was really happy about that.
Well, that's really good. And I think you touched on something a little important there. When we, you and I are sort of, around the same age. And so when we look at what we didn't know back in our 20s and 30s and what we know now, right? Don't you wish that someone would have shared some of the stuff that we know today? Don't you wish someone would have shared that with us? Right?
Totally.
My mom used to just say things like, oh, get used to it. Or, well, that's just part of getting old. Right. But that didn't explain anything to me.
Right. Or, and all the things we do, like I was one of those people that I put other people first, and that's lovely. And I think people appreciated that, but boy, did I get burnt out,
Right?
trying to do all that. And so I think if I could speak to the young people as a precautionary tale, not that my life wasn't mostly beautiful, and I'm very thankful for many things, but I really got worn out, doing life the way I was doing it. Not being myself. And so I love that it could hopefully be a little bit of a tale for people to stop and say, gosh, I'm living for everybody else. I'm really not doing what I was put here to do. And I
Right.
think I'm feeling a little unhappy about that.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, I get it. I get that. And I think, most of the women I talk to they have that same conversation in their head, right? They
Mm,
have that same, I wish I would have let myself be who I was then so I
yeah.
didn't have to struggle now, right?
Yeah. Like
Yeah.
I didn't note to self, I didn't have to do accounting for 25 years. I'm not even supposed to be doing that. It's not how my brain works.
My
I
God.
got
But
through it, but
yeah, but don't
someone
you,
else could have done
okay,
it.
25 years is a long time in a
Really.
job that you don't love, right?
Right.
But there is always, and I tell my kids this, it doesn't matter what situation you're in, there is always something to learn from it. And if you don't have an open mind to get that learning,
Mhm.
you're never going to really move forward,
Yeah, I
right?
totally agree. Now, I use the accounting that I learned almost every day in real estate. I just don't have to do it for 8 hours.
Right.
Yeah.
At a desk doing like staring at a computer, or like back 25 years ago, like, your spreadsheets, right? Like
Spreadsheets,
yeah, yeah,
books
I
with
get it.
tabs. I mean,
I get it.
pencils, erasers, all the things.
I totally get it. I totally get it. So, talking about this season, like, I guess this season of our life, right? I mean, 25 years of a career, and now you're into writing a book and, designing homes, or I don't know, decorating. It's not, I don't know really what the right term is, but when you hear the phrase determined and not distracted, what does that mean to you now?
Determined and not distracted. So to me, that would mean that I'm really focused on exactly what I want, what my goal is, what my mission is in life. And in writing, there's something called a through line, which if you're writing a piece or a book or an essay, everything needs to point back to the same through line. Like, what do you want people to get out of this thing that you're writing? So in that case, it's like, is the through line of your life the same, or are you distracted by other things that aren't aligning with exactly how you want to live?
I love that. Right? That is so like that's so perfect for anyone in our season of life. Right?
Hmm.
Maybe not the 20 and 30-year olds like we were talking about earlier, because they've got other priorities, but right now we don't need to be focused on many different things. We can be focused on just two or three, that aren't super, what's the word, invasive,
Yeah.
right? Like we can focus on, we still have to focus on our families and our,
Hmm.
but we can make our own priorities at the top of our list.
Yes. I mean, I kind of equate because I'm about to turn 60. My mom is 89 and healthy, thank God. And I'm like, okay, I have another 30 years. What do I want to do? I know writing's involved, like and communicating with people and helping people. So like that's my through line for the next 30 years. The
Right.
last 30 years, it was family, marriage, um, working towards retirement. And then the previous 30 years before that, I was kind of developing who I was. And
Mm-hmm.
so that middle 30 years for many people becomes what you do for everybody else and for your career, for your family, building wealth, retirement. And so I feel like the last 30 years or hopefully more, but like really good, successful 30 years should be about, okay, what was it I really wanted to do and did I get sidetracked from that? And for me,
Right.
it was writing and working with people.
I love that. So writing is a thing for you, right? Like
Yeah.
you love to write, and
I
you also,
loved to do it when I
yeah.
was little, and then I lost track of it in the middle 30 years.
Wow. Well, and I think that's normal. I think,
Very.
all of us kind of lose track of what we really love, right?
Hmm.
At some point in our life. And it's not that that's a bad thing, right?
Hmm.
Sometimes you just, I don't have time for it right now, but at least you're able to bring it back.
Yeah. Yeah, you have to go to, you can't not feed your children and not pay the bills and all the,
Yeah, exactly. Well,
not do your
yeah.
job.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. Now, in your bio, you shared that building a beautiful home actually led you to isolation. I'm interested to know, like, how did you realize that what looked right on the outside wasn't really aligned with what was on the inside?
Yeah, I mean, still, it's a lovely landscape, and it's a farm. Like it could have been on the cover of Southern Living magazine with the horses and the red barn and the home situated over the valley. And it was, a large home with a huge porch and just, very Southern living. And it was beautiful. And I loved to entertain there, but it was very remote. It was, I mean, I could really barely see any neighbors whatsoever, and I'm quite a bit of an extrovert. I was doing accounting when I'm really a creative, social person. So I was kind of holed up in an office, not talking to anybody. And I was riding horses, and I'm really a golfer. And so I was doing everything wrong. Not wrong, but wrong for me. Great for everybody else. Everybody else in my community, you have a horse farm, you ride horses. Well, I broke my back riding horses there, and it really almost crippled me. And I was very lonely, kind of up in this beautiful house. Like, it it didn't fit me, not because it was beautiful, but because of what that home offered me did not align with the real me.
I can
I,
totally relate with that.
yeah,
Honestly and truly, like my husband loves the outdoors
yeah,
and he grew up on an acreage. And when we were married, he was like, kind of suggesting we move out to an acreage. And I was like, I mean, if I want you to be happy, I'll move to an acreage.
yeah,
But in all honesty, I want neighbors,
yeah.
right? I want to look out my window and see people coming and going. Now, I love being around people. I don't like being outside.
Yeah,
Right? I can't really explain it, but I
yeah,
don't like being outside. So
yeah.
for me to be in a house that's surrounded by no people, it made me feel lonely just thinking about it.
Yes,
Right. And
yes,
so I can relate with what you're saying. Like, yeah, it looks great. You have this big, beautiful house. And, like you said, it could be a magazine cover photo type, but it's not who I am. Right.
right.
And that's what matters. If I got to
Yeah.
be in this house, 12, 14 hours a day, I want it to be what I want it to be.
Yeah, you don't want to be pulling up to your house and be like, it's so pretty, but then in like subconsciously or unconsciously or even consciously, you're like, oh, I'm not going to see anybody for like the next day.
Yeah. Like, and you avoid going home, right? Like you avoid
Yeah,
being at
I
home.
would.
Yeah.
And everything I needed to do was like half an hour away. The dry cleaner, the kids' preschool, all the things that we did. So I would stay out for a whole, and my son he was little, he would say, Mommy, can't we just go home? And I'd be like, yeah, but then I won't see anyone. I need to
Yeah.
get my fix and then we can go home.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I can totally relate with that. Now, I want to know, like, okay, so this beautiful house, I mean, it sounds beautiful, right? And if you like that, the horses and being in nature, that sounds probably ideal to you. But I want to know about the Oprah moment that
Oh, yeah.
you sort of use as a defining story. What did it take for you to like really say no inside? Because we all know like that not everybody gets that opportunity, and if you do, it's a once in a lifetime opportunity for
Yeah,
Oprah to come in and say, let me film in your house. I mean,
I know.
that's huge. That's just
It
a
is.
celebration alone,
I
right?
know. I could still kick myself, but but I panicked. I remember being in my kitchen, really big kitchen. People would always say, you should film a cooking show in here. It was huge and had one of those butcher block counters and all the fancy appliances, and I loved to cook. But I was on the phone with the producer of the Oprah Winfrey show, and I sat down in some chairs near a fireplace, and I was like, I can't let them come. Like I literally in my head panicked, and I was like, yeah, I think I said, let me call my friends and see if they can all come. And then I called her back and I was like, yeah, I'm not gonna do that. I couldn't wrap my head. I was in a walker still, healing from a broken back. It was a 40-acre farm, the part that we owned and then the part that we leased. And I was like, I can't get this ready for millions of people to come. I can't even drive my kids to school right now. I can't go to the grocery store. I can't run a vacuum. I cannot let millions of people in this house to, I just, I freaked out. I was like, no, can't come. No, can't
Oh
do it.
my gosh, I can't even imagine. So what's coming to my mind right now listening to you is like, that we can pay people to come and clean our house right now.
I was like, yeah, yeah, and two, I was in pain and trying to recover. And I actually started reading the book only after I wrote the winning essay. And in the book, there was one of the main characters who was very unhappy in her home. And I was like, "What?" And the essay that I wrote, I didn't think I wrote. I would thought the essay I wrote was funny and poignant. However, it disappeared after I wrote it. And so
Funny
I
how
was
that
like,
happens.
yeah, I was because back 2001, it was this website where you wrote the essay. And so while my kids were at school one day, I sat in my office and wrote and rewrote it like for hours, wrote this essay, and I thought it was pretty darn good. And but I never saw it again. And I was like, yeah, I don't even know what I wrote. I was on painkillers from, it was excruciating pain for quite a while. So I was like, when they finally told me I won, it was a couple months later and I was feeling better and I was like, yeah, I'm not exactly sure what I wrote.
Oh, okay. So you were drugged up, right? I mean, yeah,
Like, yeah, I'm like serious pain medication that
yeah.
I got off as soon as I could because it was dangerous to be on. I felt it.
Yeah, and I'm sure I don't know if they confirmed it with you, but I'm sure you're not the only person in the world that has said no to Oprah Winfrey.
I'm sure I'm not. Yeah, it's like, yeah, am I ready for millions of people
Right? Like, I
am I
mean,
ready for TV? I don't
it,
think I am.
right? And the truth is, I mean, yeah, I like to, believe that I have a beautiful house, right? And I make it so that it is, like I want people to come and see it. But
Yeah.
do I want the entire world in my house? Like that's kind
Yeah.
of invasion of privacy, don't you think?
Well, it can be like, especially with, what kind of information did I divulge in my essay?
Right.
So, about like how obviously how my friends all helped me, but like in what dire state, that I was in with, severe pain and was I going to walk again and all that stuff. And it was just too fresh. And so I was like, yeah, I can't handle this right now. Yeah,
Yeah.
and a lot of it was just I was so misaligned that I was like, yeah, I got to figure this out. How am I going to get on the Oprah show and be like really proud of where I'm living when I'm not real sure? I'm not so
Right.
sure
Right.
about that, and I'm in pain here.
Yeah. So there was obviously it was like a um, combination of many different things that
Yeah,
really sort of brought that out in you that said, no, this
yeah.
isn't what I want. This isn't, yeah, I get that. And
Or even like I'm not ready for this. Like something's off. I haven't figured it out. I don't want to, it just sounded like trouble to me at the time.
right. And who knows? And, everything happens for a reason, right? And so
Yeah,
I'm feeling like, who knows what would have happened after.
right,
Right? Like
right.
it's one thing to, sure, invite the camera crew and all these people into my home,
Yeah,
but what's going to happen after? Because we all know there's those ripple effects, right? There's
there
always
are.
something to come out of that.
Like when you win the lottery, bad things happen. I mean, bad things can happen, they say.
Exactly, exactly.
Hmm.
So when you think back then to your earlier, career accounting and your life back then, how do you compare that to the confidence that you have now?
I always took a back seat back then. I always was just like, this is for my kids and for my spouse at the time, and I'll help run the business, even though I have several degrees that are leading me in a different direction. I was a sacrificer. I was a people pleaser. And so I kind of just watched and I watched everybody else do what they wanted to do, like, just no matter what it was. And that was just kind of the way I lived, just like for other people. And I still do that, like all the time, all day, like my clients and my family. But I do have a little more space now that I'm not a full-time mom to be the real me and to do the writing and do the real estate and be out and answer the phone at, 10 o'clock at night and things like that. So I feel more free to be me now than then. I was sort of hiding back then.
And I think, I mean, just from listening to your story, I think also too, what we learn about ourselves is when we put ourselves first and we make our wishes priority, that doesn't necessarily mean that we put others down and push them away, right? Like if someone comes to me and asks me for my advice or my, my opinion, or just, tells me what's going on in their life, that doesn't mean I have to say, well, I don't have time for you. Right. I'm making me the priority. You can still make yourself priority with their wishes, right? Like
absolutely.
if you're going to ask my opinion, then it's up to me to give you my honest opinion. If you want me just to say what you want me to, what you want to hear from me, I can do that too, but that's not who I am.
No, and it's not helpful either.
Right.
It's not helpful to them to not say the truth. And people know when you're not being authentic. I really feel like people become closer to you when you're your authentic self. And that's not always, agreeing with everything.
Right. And it's giving your honest opinion, right? Like, but, and I don't know about how you would say it to your clients or to your friends, but if someone asks me something or we're having a discussion, I'll just say, well, that wouldn't work for me, right? Like in my world, right? This is what I would prefer, or this is how I would do it. Right.
Yeah.
But that doesn't necessarily, that's not putting anything on you to say you have to do it my way.
Right.
Right. And I've been there. I remember, sitting with my girlfriends and no, you can't do that, or you shouldn't do that. You should do it this way. But, as I got older, I started to realize what works for me doesn't work for everyone else.
That's right.
Yeah.
It's so true. And I do see so many different people's lifestyles that the way I like when I see a little yellow or red flag come up, like, oh, this may be a mistake if they decide this certain thing. Let me understand better what they're trying to go, what outcome they're trying to achieve, because I see some possible bad outcomes here, right? And so I usually try to frame it as, yeah, I can see your point of view, but have you thought about this? Or I had a client who did that, and this is what happened.
Right. Exactly. And then again, like you're leaving it up to them to make the decision, but you're also opening up their, their mind so that they can see there are other possibilities that could happen. Because I mean, let's face it. I mean, they say like, if you're narrow-minded, that's what happens, right? You only see what you want to see, right? That's what that means. And so when you can open up that narrow hallway to a more broad hallway, then we're talking about there's so many other possibilities, and that's good and bad.
Absolutely. I'm a big fan of the option A, B, and C. What are my options here? What would the potential outcomes be if I did each one? And what can I not live with if it happens?
Right. I love that. And I think, I think a lot of us are like that. I mean, obviously we know there's many narrow-minded people out there, but I think when we know that the outcomes, what they could be of all three possibilities or five, or however many you want to open yourself up to, then makes us, that curiosity, gives us a little bit more opportunity to make wise choices.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah.
I do.
So I want to talk about, okay, so looking back at the Clarity Farm, that's what you called your land, right?
Yes.
Your property. What lessons only became clear after you were willing to stop labeling it as a failure?
I think the lesson that became clear was you don't have to do what other people expect you to do or what everybody else is doing. You need to stay in your lane. And I think the other lesson eventually was that sometimes compromise doesn't work for anybody. And if it's a big issue that you are always the one giving up just to keep the peace, the way that you want to live, sometimes there's a bigger change that's foundational that needs to happen. And those go to the 4 M's in my process, which is myself. Who am I? How was I made? What are my gifts? Mastery. Have I mastered those gifts? Like, am I working in my strengths? I was not doing that in accounting. I feel like my strength is probably writing and people. Mission. How are you helping other people? And then mates. Mate or mates is who is your partner and your friendships, and do they see the real you and support you? And if not, that's a foundational issue that needs to be at least addressed.
I love that. Okay, so you touched on two major points there. Like it was basically, and now they have just lost my mind. You said something about making other people happy, I think it was.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then it was, oh, compromise, right?
Yes.
Not
Yes.
all compromises work. And
Right.
so now when you were explaining that to me, it came up, that's not a compromise. If I'm always the one sort of, shutting my mouth, keeping
Mm,
my ideas, that's not compromise anymore. That's always
right.
what you're getting, what you want. And I'm just learning how to not speak my mind, right? That's no longer compromising, right? So I really liked that you said that, because that's how we move forward, right? Compromising has to work both ways,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Right.
I want you to speak a little bit more on that.
Yeah, I mean, so many times, I see spouses that are just trying to make a decision on a home together. And every once in a while, there's a deal breaker that is in direct opposition to what those two people want. And it's a really big deal to them. For me, it was being in a community versus being out like alone without neighbors. That became a deal breaker for me, and that was a compromise that myself and my former spouse never reconciled because neither were happy with the compromise. There's like meeting halfway wasn't going to work for either one of us there. And I see that with other people. I mean, sometimes it's, I want to live somewhere, and often it's this, I want to live out in the middle of nowhere with no HOA so no one can tell me what to do. I want to ride dirt bikes and or whatever, or park my RV and no one can tell me that I can't. And then perhaps the other spouse, I want a swim tennis and I want somewhere, the kids have people to play with, or there's a book club, or whatever it is that they want connection and community. And so that's a hard one to overcome. And I have overcome it only by, okay, let's find a street that's friendly and it has, a couple of acres or more. And you then have, at least 10 or 15 people on that kind of street that you can become friends with. But the other person has their alone time and they can go out in wherever the barn or the work shed and do their thing. And each person is pretty happy. But
Wow. Okay. So that I'm just picturing myself having to make that choice, right? Now, I don't want to be in like downtown New York where there's like I'm in a small apartment building. No, I don't
yeah,
want that. I want a house. I want a yard. I want my space. But yeah, you're right. I want to be able to talk to the neighbor over the fence,
right.
right? Even though I
Yep.
don't, like I really don't talk to my neighbors over the fence. But I want to be able to, if the opportunity should arise, excuse me. And my husband is like, I want to go hide in the trees, right? Where nobody's going to see me. And you have to come and find me when it's time, when you need me for something. Right.
Yeah.
And so,
Yeah.
that's, so we figured it out
Yeah.
because, like we bought a cabin that has the acreage, that has the space for him. So we go out there for a weekend, he's got his space. But by the end of the whatever time we've decided, I'm ready to come back home. I'm like, I need to get back in the city. I need to see the cars. I need, and so we've come up with that agreement, right?
Yeah.
And that's the compromise that we had to make.
Yeah.
But I know, like you said, the deal breakers, there are so many people that cannot agree to disagree,
Yeah. Or they
right?
haven't found a compromise like you
Yeah.
guys have. That is the perfect compromise to have two, some people I live in Atlanta. It's a huge city full of traffic and there's a lot of great things about living in Atlanta. But one of my goals is to get somewhere else a little bit more remote where I can just a little small town that's kind of cute and old fashioned, where I can go and write and be creative and not have to, somewhere 5 miles from here could take an hour. And so
Right.
that's a little frustrating. So that is a goal of mine. Like I still do like, but again, see how I mentioned in a small town, not up on a mountain with, no one around.
Yeah, because they're still people,
Yeah.
right? They're still people. Yeah, I get that. Oh my gosh, I get that. I totally get that. Now, many women, they stay stuck
Mm,
because quitting or pivoting feels like they're giving up. How
mm.
would you reframe pivoting as a powerful, determined choice rather than a setback?
I think if we don't pivot, we have to all pivot all throughout our lives, and some pivots are bigger than others. If you don't pivot, you're bound, to me, you're bound for failure because there's always life change. Sometimes we ask for it and sometimes we don't. And if life has changed on you, for example, you've a divorce, the death of a loved one, retirement, empty nesting, getting married, if you don't pivot with that and try to stay the same, you're destined for failure if you don't change. Because
Yeah,
it's inevitable that life is going to change on you. It's asked for, or sometimes it's not asked for, but we do have to pivot along the way.
yeah,
And otherwise, I'm trying to think like, well, I mean, I'm just going to say riding a horse. If you don't kind of move with that horse, your rear end is hitting that saddle and it's going to be a punishment. You have to kind of go with the flow. And if you resist too hard, and it's going to be painful.
yeah. And it's true. And I think, we don't realize, the empty nest syndrome. Like we don't, like, I remember hearing it as a kid and,
Mhm.
I always used to think, what's the big deal? Like
Yeah,
your kids move out.
I'll be fine.
Yeah. And then when my kids got older, I mean, I have three kids. Two of them are now moved out on their own. When the first one moved out, I really felt she was only 19. So I was
Mm,
like, oh my God, like, you know, I want her to come home. Right. I
yeah,
would constantly be asking her to come sleep over, and I was finding reasons and excuses to have her over.
yeah,
Right. And
yep,
it really hit me that like I need to change with this. Right.
yeah.
So when the second one moved out, I mean, I was ready for him to move out. I was like, see ya. You know what I mean? But it was still, I mean, a big, like all of a sudden my house is really quiet.
Yeah.
Right. And that's, again, I was like, wow, it was a more bigger change for me, because
Yes.
now I have two more worries outside of the house. Right.
Yes.
And I'm cooking for three people instead of five. And I'm like, it's really quiet. I don't
Yeah.
have that traffic. Right. And the whole, mom, can you do this? Or mom, did you do, like, you know what I mean? Right. I'm
Yeah.
sure you've been there. So and I think, wow, if I don't change with the times, that's going to make me miserable.
Yes. You're going to be stuck in a life phase that has passed.
Yeah.
And that
And
is sad. It is
yeah,
very sad when your
it is
kids
very
leave.
sad. And
It is.
and my mom said that. Like I lived at home until I was married. And I remember her saying for the first 5 years, it's so weird without you. Like the
Hmm.
house feels so quiet. And
Yes.
I mean, I worked. It wasn't like I was home all the time, right? But
Right.
it's just the whole idea that she's not coming home.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So I get that. Like, and if you don't, like, you have to move, if you don't move along with it, if you don't pivot, then you're gonna feel sad and lonely.
Yeah.
Right. You need to embrace change. And I know change is hard for a lot of women,
It is.
especially because, like we're in our 30s, we're pushing so hard for everyone else that all of a sudden when that everyone else kind of disappears, we're like, so now what do I do?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I felt it myself and I see it all the time.
Yeah.
And it is a chance to pivot back to who am I? What do I enjoy doing? What really filled me up when I was younger? What did I want to do when I was younger? And just kind of open that back up to I have some good time left here. It's not that I'm abandoning my grown children. Like I still keep two full bedrooms here at home for them or my husband's two kids to come back, right? And I'm
Yeah.
like, I'm always making up like, hey, we're doing dinner and movie night. You want to come stay? Well, they don't. They don't want to. They
No,
have
they
their
don't
own
want
homes.
to. I
They don't want to bring their stuff over here, but I still try. I get it.
Yeah, but
Um,
isn't it funny? Like we put ourselves like we want them to come, but we
yeah.
want it for us, right?
Yes.
Because
Yeah.
when we were their age, did we want to go sleep at our mom's house? No. We're like,
No.
okay, I'll come, but then I'm going home, right?
I did recently sleep at my 89-year-old mom's house because we had some golfing house guests of my husband, and I was supposed to be out of town, but then I didn't go. And I spent the night at my mom's, and it was like, This is really cool. I love this, but I don't really want to do it all the time. I want to be at my house.
Yeah, I know, isn't it? And it's so weird, but we want our kids to come. Like I mean, I get it. We all experience that. I want my kids
Yeah.
close to me, right? For many
Yeah.
reasons, not just because I like their company, but I want to know that they're
Yeah.
safe. I want to know that they're eating well, they're sleeping well. I want for all the reasons, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. And I know, my mom did become a career person again, later in life. I was the fourth of four children, and she went back to work and recreated herself. I had a good role model for recreating myself. She went from a part-time school teacher to a secretary to a human resource director. And so I watched her flourish in her 50s. And she's still sharp as a tack. And so I really admire what she's done with her
Love that.
the after 60 lifetime she's had.
Good for her. Good,
Hmm.
like really good on her.
Yeah.
I hope she celebrates that daily because that
Oh
is
yeah.
huge.
Yep.
That is
She's
huge.
amazing. She's sharp and she's used her brain still, and she's still connected with her community and her church and everything. So she's a real role model for how to remain active with a full life as you age.
Wow, good for her. I love that. I really love that. I know my mom worked until she was 72,
Hmm.
but she loves to read and when I was growing up, she never watched TV. She watched like one or two half-hour sitcoms in a week.
Yeah.
Right
She probably didn't have
now,
time.
yeah, I know she didn't. And now, she's like her and one of my aunts, they get on the phone like once a week to, compare this soap operas. I'm like, who are you?
Who have
But
you become? But
yeah,
I
but
think that's connection. That's connection to her sister, right?
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I mean, it's also like I never got to do this when I was young. So now I'm
Yes.
making up for it. Right. And
I
I
could never
love
sit and watch 2 hours of soap operas. So now she's doing it. She probably didn't even have time to call her sister back then.
Yeah, well, exactly, right. And of course,
Mhm.
we're talking back in the 80s where, long distance was a huge deal,
It
right?
was
Now,
big.
now
You
you
had to
can
pay
phone,
people. For
like we
younger
can,
people, we had to
yeah,
pay
yeah, exactly, right?
extra.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. So I want to talk a little bit more about the wheelhouse.
Hmm.
Now, obviously you created that method and that was the 3 M's, right? The
Hmm.
wheelhouse.
Well, the Wheelhouse Foundation is the 4 M's. And then that's like the basement, the foundation of your house, and that which I relate to like yourself, your
Of
soul,
course.
a home for your soul is what I'm talking about. So
Yeah.
the foundation is the 4 M's, and then you move up to the living areas, and there are 8 living areas, sort of like you would have 8 rooms, and that would be based on the wheel of life. So fun and leisure, family and friends, entertainment, finance, career, romance, spirituality, and environment.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. So, what do you notice as a core misalignment in most women's lives and in their homes?
Well, as we age, it's health. Health and finance become really big areas for misalignment. Health being, is it a large property? Is the primary bedroom upstairs and now we're having trouble getting up there? Um, is there too much maintenance? Is there deferred maintenance? I see that quite often with especially older women who, perhaps their spouse has passed or there's some ill health in the family and things are getting a little run down and they might perhaps be better off in a home that someone else maintained these things or with a family member somewhere. It's a big consideration. So health and then finance is a big thing. So either people have done quite well and they perhaps could have 2 homes, um, or they could downsize and travel around the world, because they're retired now. Or on the other hand, something happened along the way, maybe a health issue, and their finances have disappeared a little bit, and they cannot maintain the home. They cannot pay the taxes and the HOA and the upkeep, and any, mortgage that they have left. And so it might be best for them to take the equity out of the home and use that to live on in either a smaller place or somewhere, somewhere that they leased or something like that.
Right, right. I love that. And so I think what I've learned, like in my coaching business, is the wheel of life. We all tend to focus on one or two at a time in our lives, right? Like we sort of pick, I mean, I know a lot of women in my age group, health is a big deal, right? Finances, yes and no, but I feel like, we're not spending enough time equally on the entire wheel, right?
Yeah.
And I say we because I know I'm guilty of it the same, right? One thing that I am trying to, learn myself and coach my clients through is spending, equal time throughout the week on each pie of the wheel, right? Like, because we all need it. And in order to live a balance, that's what balanced life means, right? Is all of the pies of the life wheel are equal.
Yeah.
Right. And that includes work. That includes relationships. It includes your intimacy with your partner or partners and all the things, right? Like we have to, bear in mind that it all makes us who we are.
Right. And some areas can be neglected. And, I think one that's neglected quite often is spirituality. And that does not mean everyone needs to be in an organized religion. It's to each his own, in my opinion.
Right.
I have my own beliefs, and I also practice yoga. And I also believe that being in nature is a spiritual practice for me because it just makes me feel very relaxed. And to me, that's become a bigger part of my life. It calms me down because I am a go, go, go person. But I was living very out of balance and my health was suffering because of it. And so I, on purpose, directed some attention to spirituality to sort of ground myself. And I don't do like the perfect meditation, but I do sit still and I do contemplate and do some grateful habits and things like that. And it's helped me tremendously.
Right.
So I think if people neglect a certain area, it will show up.
Yeah. And keep in mind, like you said, spirituality is not really religion, right?
Right.
Spirituality is more about what's going on inside.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And I know lots of people have, debates about that. Right. And I've come to realize that religion is religion.
Yeah.
Spirituality is what's going on inside me. Right.
I
And how
agree.
I bring that religion in is up to me. But that's, to me, spirituality is just what's going on inside me.
Yes, it's a personal journey.
Yeah.
It's not out there, just like you said. It's inside of me and how I grow that inside of me for
Right.
a
Exactly.
feeling of peace.
Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
So now I want to talk a little bit about, your own experience going through what you've gone through. When we reach that midlife, reinvention, sometimes it can feel, expansive, but at the same time terrifying. I'm interested to know what helped you stay focused on what you saw as your bigger vision, right?
Mm.
I mean, we all have the itty bitty shitty committee, as I like to call it, where, we get the doubt, we get the fear, we get the, that comfort, stay here, let's stay here. When all that came in, how did you handle it? What did you do?
You know what really helped me a lot is I read a book by Stephen Pressfield called The War of Art. And it was about resistance. So you have some sort of dream, you have some sort of ideal lifestyle or goal, and it is inevitable that along the way you're going to have those inner doubtful comments to yourself. You're going to have barriers. You're going to have people that perhaps try to sabotage that because they don't really want you to succeed and be different from them. They feel like they're going to lose you. And so there's all kinds of resistance that can happen when you're trying to make a better way for yourself. So I've read this book over and over again, and it's what's gotten me through the past probably 10 years is, the doubts, the should I be doing this? Is this the right? And come to find out, the more important your goal is, and I'm not sure how he says this. He says the more resistance is going to come up. The bigger deal that it is for what you're trying to do and the better positive effect it's going to have on not only you but other people, the more resistance you're going to feel, the more sabotagey things are going to seem.
Ooh.
And so expect it and
Oh,
just say, wow, this must be really important. if I really feel strongly that I need to do this and it feels like the world and certain events are against me, just keep going. If you really still feel strongly that it's going to be a help to you and other people, that's resistance. And so that is what's helped me get through many, many sabotagey things that I felt in the process of becoming the real me.
I love that. And so I'm hoping this book is on Audible, because I'm going to
Oh,
download
yes,
the
for
news.
sure. I'm a huge Audible person.
Okay, good. Because I mean, the word resistance struck a
Yeah.
chord in me right away, because
Yeah.
I resist, there's so much that I'm resisting right now that I
Yeah.
know, and yet I can't seem to get, like, I can't even make the first little, hole in it, right? Because I'm
Yes.
like, I don't know why I'm resisting it, because
Yep.
that's where the key is, right? When
Yeah.
you know why, right, then you can start breaking away at that wall.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
And he has several books. Again, his through line is helping people overcome resistance for most of his books. He wrote some fiction, but his nonfiction books are very much along those lines. And I won't swear, but one of them is I believe it's called "Put Your A in the Chair," and
Oh.
one is called "Do the Work." And then The War of Art was like the beginning of the whole thing. And basically, it's all about, we know this is hard, but do the work and good things will come.
Right. I love that. Okay, so I'm going to be looking that up right as soon as we end our call today, because I know that I need to hear those kinds of stories, right?
Yeah.
I need to know, how to break through that. I love
Mhm.
that. So for women that are listening today and are feeling maybe something is off and they can't quite name it, what is one question that you would invite them to ask themselves?
So is this in their life or in their home or both?
I'm going to say both, because I
Yeah.
think, I think they're sort of
Inter
correlated.
They
Yeah.
are. They are.
Yeah.
To me, when there's a change in your life, your home is normally changing. And when you change your home, your life changes. So to me, they go hand in hand. I
Yeah.
see it all the time. So the question was, let's repeat the question so I answer it properly.
Yeah. So when women are feeling a little bit off,
Yeah.
but they don't really know why,
Mhm.
what's one question you could invite them to ask themselves?
I think the first question is, what am I feeling? Am I frustrated? Am I sad? Am I lonely? Am I angry? Um, am I regretful? So the first thing is, what am I feeling? Because frustration could be, I don't have enough room to do my laundry. And that stems from, I don't have enough help and I'm doing it all around here and working. And so that's frustration. Sad could be, um, I walk past my dog bowl every day and I haven't put it away. He passed 6 months ago. Do I get another dog? Why am I sad? Because I like pets and I don't have any pets right now. And lonely could be, I walk past my kids' rooms every day and they're 30 and 32. And I now travel to see them and I don't need rooms for them here because they're building their own lives but they want me to come there. That's great. What do I need to do with those rooms? Because I'm really bored and lonely and maybe I need to pick up a hobby like podcasting or artistry or writing or just an office to work on a volunteer position or a little side job or a bigger job. It's what are you feeling that's negative and how can you make a shift in your life and your home to fill that void or cure that?
I love that. And it's funny that, I mean, often women don't look at that at, why is this bothering me?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like, this might be something that's bothered you like your entire marriage, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or the entire time that you've lived in this house, but you don't really think about why it's bothering you.
Yeah.
And what is it? Like, what am I really feeling? And what brought it on?
Yeah.
Right?
What brought it on? What is this stemming from? Like if you're um, in a new home with and the spouse and the husband and wife or partners are in the home and they're arguing about the layout of the kitchen and they're angry, is it really about the kitchen? Or
Right.
is it about we don't spend enough time together And like, why do we need a kitchen anyway? Because you're never home. Or, whatever it is, that's the
Yeah.
underlying reason. Like, I'm not really mad about the size of the island. I'm mad that I have no people to fill it up.
Oh my goodness. So I have a ginormous kitchen. At least I think it's
Love
ginormous,
it.
right? But I don't have room for all my stuff.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
I don't like anything on my counter. Like if I could have nothing, that
Yeah.
would be the way I like it.
Yeah.
But I can't have it that way. And I cannot figure out why that bothers me. Like I got this huge kitchen and nothing that I own fits in the cupboards. I'm like, why is this bothering me so much? I don't, yeah.
Well, I mean, the kitchen as part of the rooms is about friends and family. That's your gathering spot. And so maybe, I don't know.
I don't know either, but
you want more opportunities to entertain people in your kitchen. And you want to get those items out and use them. I don't know. But you have to pay attention to, why am I frustrated with this? Is it about the stuff? Or is it about the opportunities I don't have to use them?
Yeah. I think you hit something there. Like, I think it's more about, I want more people in my kitchen and not just my family. Like I love having my family at the table, but I want more people. Oh my gosh. Yeah. I don't know why that hit me just now, but that's, wow. Wow.
Yeah. So you might pull up to your house and be like, oh, I'm lonely, or, oh gosh, it's so much maintenance, I'm frustrated, or whatever it is.
Or whatever. Yeah. Like it's kind of funny that, now my brain is really thinking about it. So
get that mixer out, make some cookies, invite people over, have a book club.
Yeah. Oh, I would love that. And maybe that's a good idea, actually, a book club. Is there anything that we didn't talk about today that you want to? I know we didn't really touch a whole lot about your book other than at the beginning and feeling it and holding it. But is there anything else that you want our listeners to hear?
Well, really, I mean, the book has all of this in it. So it's all encompassing for people's lifestyles. So it has examples of different questions all the questions I've heard over the past, 7 years and beyond, and like all the friends we've talked about their client situations and how to solve them. And so I tried to compile as much as I could into each section in the question area. So there's a series of questions that one could ask themselves, and then they fill in their pie chart, like, this is what I'd rate my area, and these are the reasons why. And so I think the reason we could talk about almost any topic about lifestyle, as it relates to how happy or unhappy are you in your life relating to this subject. And what is the deal breaker for my house right now? Am I going to stay, go, or renovate? Yeah. And so the reason I could talk forever is because lifestyle is all encompassing and every scenario is different. Everybody's wheelhouse is going to look different and their pie chart's going to look different.
Yeah, absolutely. And then what their intentions are and what their reasons. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I get that. Well, thank you so much for sharing your wisdom and honesty today. I love hearing about your experiences, and your story really is very, very powerful. And it's kind of a reminder too that confidence isn't really about proving ourselves. It's more about choosing what's aligned and even when it's like challenging, right? And what our expectations are. So thank you so much.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a great summary. You don't have to prove anything to anyone but yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
If this conversation resonated with you and you're craving a space to slow down, reconnect, and come back to yourself, I'd love to invite you into the Bloom Room, a monthly embodied experience where we explore intention, identity, and aligned action in a supportive, real-life community of women navigating their next chapter. If you're ready to go deeper to rebuild confidence from the inside out and move forward with clarity, you can also explore working with me privately. All the links are in the show notes. Until next time, remember, confidence blooms when you stay determined about who you're becoming and undistracted by who you used to be.
Thanks for listening. This show was brought to you by Divas That Care. Connect with us on Facebook, on Instagram, and of course on divasthatcare.com, where you can subscribe to our newsletter so you don't miss a thing.